once again, I'd like to welcome everyone back to another episode of the Buffalo History Channel as we are in our fall 2023 season. Thank you all for your continued support of this platform. And tonight on tonight's show, I have an extra special guest on the Buffalo History Channel. We talk about Buffalo legends. This man right here is a bona fide Buffalo legend. You saw him in the summer season. We featured his quest to swim the English Channel. I am talking about none other than the legendary Charlie the Tuna Chapman himself. Charlie the Tuna, welcome to the Buffalo History Channel, my brother.
It's a pleasure, Doug, and I thank you for the interview.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Absolutely, man. And just to give people some backstory, we found that piece of footage from the swim across the English Channel. It was part of the Afro Central City Scene collection that was from the late Ron Woodford's collection. And there was a television show that aired in the late 70s and early 80s.
Wonderful.
And your story was a part of that collection that we were happy to feature. And as soon as it aired on YouTube, only a few short minutes later, I get a call from Sandy White, and to my surprise, who does she have on the phone with her but Charlie the Tuna Chapman? And I said, man, he was giving me some information which he'll give you all. And I said, man, you know what? Say less, say no more. I gotta have you on the platform to definitely tell your story.
Wonderful, wonderful. And it's truly a pleasure. And I truly appreciate being on your platform. Our history is so very important. And when you're out to make history, the journey, the journeys is very important. Even more than the destination, the journey is a serious story within itself.
Absolutely. Well, let's start from the very beginning. I always like to start from the very beginning. Want to get like the full effect of your story. Talk to us first about, before we get to the swimming part, talk about growing up in Buffalo.
Oh, growing up in Buffalo on the east side in Hamlin Park was a wonderful, wonderful experience. We had the Maston Boys Club, the YMCA. I went to school 74 in St. Francis. We had, beautiful football fields. And at that time, Humboldt Parkway was there. And as a young kid, we could walk up to the top of Humboldt Parkway and actually go in the park and play football and have all kinds of fun before the expressway came. It was just a wonderful time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what got you interested in swimming?
Well, I was playing basketball at the boys club, right? But they didn't pass me the ball, so I got kind of bored of sitting on the bench. Right?
Wow!
But
you had a lot of basketball legends at the Maston.
Oh, absolutely! The Williams brothers, Jimmy and Ricky Williams and Brad Thurman. I mean, there was all Bob Lanier. Oh yeah, there's a lot of great players there. Absolutely. But so I just ventured, off in the water. My parents used to take me to Crystal Beach and the different beaches in Buffalo for picnics and all of that. Beaver Island State Park.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to have wonderful picnics and go in the water. And then at that time, Martin Luther King Park had the great water fountain park, the kids could go in and swim. So that would be a part of, our afternoon. My parents would take a few of us up to the water park and pack us a lunch. And we get in that shallow water. And that was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. But then as time went on, my dad enrolled me into the YMCA mental program as a young mental, swimmer.
Hmm.
And I was definitely influenced by a lot of great swimmers at that time, like Beverly Johnson, a gentleman named David Garnett, and Larry Berry and Ricky Mirabal, and that was all under Mel Davis' program, his swimming program, which was a very proficient program. Yes. And then from that program, just getting my basic water wings and being drown proof, that is so important. As I examine, there's so many drownings happening to children from ages 1 to 5, and it's sad. It's really sad because kids are going to go around water and they need to know how to survive in water. And
Right.
if you have a almost drowning experience, it's very dramatic.
It said in the piece that you were at the Humboldt. You learned to swim at the Humboldt Y.
Yes, the Humboldt YMCA.
Talk to us about the Humboldt YMCA.
Oh, that was a great, wonderful experience. We went on overnight camping trips. We competed against other YMCA's and that in the suburbs, and it was just wonderful. You look forward to going to the YMCA on the weekend, after school and that. And it was just a wonderful experience, especially with Mel Davis there. He had a great program for us kids learning how to swim in that. And the competition was fierce.
Okay, so talk to us about who some of your teachers and mentors were.
Um, One of my earliest teachers was this gentleman named Bill Manuel. He lived on Northland Avenue, right around the corner from me, and he had two kids named Earl and Lydia, and they were great swimmers. I wasn't even in their class at that time, but he used to pick us up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go swimming uh, at the Delaware YMCA every morning. So I just, learned and progressed and kept swimming and kept swimming. And then, I went to junior high school, Woodline Junior High School, and there was a coach named Mr. Fahrenholtz, and he was an excellent coach and swimmer. He swam on a lot of different United States swimming teams, and he really gave us the basic techniques when it came down to stroke, water rescue, and endurance. End up becoming the champions doing that 67, 68 year at Woodline Junior High School at that
All right.
particular time.
All
And
right.
yes, and then I went to high school at Bishop Turner. I spent 2 years at Bishop Turner swimming on their swimming team in the Catholic League, and I set my first butterfly record as a freshman. I think I did a 1 minute and 7 seconds for 100 yards butterfly, and I was
Right.
swimming varsity with them, and then I transferred over to Lafayette High School under the tutelage of Mr. Vincent Stamaka,
Okay.
and I continued my butterfly swimming, and I made all high.
Absolutely.
After that, I went to California,
Yes.
and my sister, she invited me to come out to California, and I went to Los Angeles City College for junior college, my first year. And I was swimming there with this gentleman named Gail Wyatt. And the swimmers in California, they were much, much more advanced than we were on the East Coast. I mean, they swam 4 and 5 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I had another friend, his name was Leslie Newell, and we went to a bookstore one day and we were looking at sports book. And I picked up this book called The 50-Meter Jungle by Sherm Shavor and Mark Spitz. And I read the book. And at the end of the book, Mr. Shavor said he wanted to develop a black swimmer. So I called him up and I told him I wanted to be that swimmer. And he was down in Sacramento, California, which is in Northern California. So I ventured my way down to Northern California and I showed up at this exclusive Olympic swim club. And it was a funny experience. I swam in a 50-meter pool up and back, so that's like 100 meters.
Okay.
Um, and when I finished the swim, he asked me, "Was I tired?" I said, "No, no." He said, "Oh, you're dying all over the place." But we laughed about it, and he gave me an opportunity to swim. I had a dream in '73. I was trying to make the '76 Olympic team, but I was too late. But I still enjoyed swimming. I enjoyed the competition, and I kept swimming. And then I switched over to marathon swimming. And my first marathon swim was at the Dolphin Club in San Francisco. This was a swimming club that had been there for over 100 years.
Okay.
So we rode up to San Francisco with a friend of mine named Chris Hogue. And we went into the swim club and I wanted to swim. And the guy told me, "Well, we don't have any insurance for you up here, and there's sharks in the water." And then my friend Chris Hogue said, "Well, he wants to swim the English Channel." The guy said, "What? Swim the English Channel?" He said, "Well, give this guy give him a locker. Let's see what he can do." So they had their first annual 1 mile spring swim. And I wanted to swim. It was a 1 mile swim in a circular cove in San Francisco. The water was very cold. It was like in the low 50s, high 50s, 56, 57 degrees. And it was cold. But I swam the mile in 21 minutes. And the people was amazed. And I was amazed too. And the strange thing about it was, people were taking pictures of me and this and that. And when they handed out the roster of the swim, I won the swim, but I was on the bottom of the swim list as guest from Sacramento, California, Charles Chapman. So, that was like the beginning of things to come that I would experience. But
Okay.
I never let that disappoint me.
They just didn't. They just didn't want to give you the credit like they needed to.
Absolutely. And that had been a continual fight all through my swimming career. One time I swam around Alcatraz Island,
Yeah.
using a sailboat because I couldn't get a regular boat, and I couldn't get out of the water, and the boat couldn't stop. So it was like, do or die.
Wow.
Do or die. And but I made it. I made it, and it just, those things make you tougher. When you're in the marathon swimming business, the weather and all that can change on you. There's never really any perfect weather conditions, but you have to be ready mentally and physically, to be able to make that swim. And I had another great friend of mine. His name was Frank Withrow. and he introduced me to Henry Clark, the heavyweight California champion, ex-California champion.
Okay.
And boy, he gave me a lot of advice about food, training, rub downs, and just mental preparation, making your mind mentally tough to deal with the adversities in the water. Well, when you're in the ocean, you become a part of the food chain because things can happen to you. I mean, you can be swallowed by a great white shark.
Yeah.
You can be run over by an ocean liner or a boat. There's large ships in the English Channel in the shipping lanes, and they don't have any brakes. So, like we were in the English Channel and we ran into a large boat, and we had to do a quarter-mile turn to get out of the way. So, it's very it can be very dangerous at times, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I'm
you
look.
have to have a guide boat to lead you because you
Yeah.
don't know where you're at when you're in the open water and that.
I was looking at from looking at the video. I was wondering what type, and then see. I was seeing you. They had shots of you like on the shore before you went in. What
Right.
type of mental preparation went into that? Went on with you before you went into the water?
Even before you attempt to swim the English Channel, you have to do some preparatory swims. And when I got to England, the first day I got in the water, I could only swim for about 25 minutes. And I told my mom that, but she said, don't worry about it because it takes time for your body to adjust, to the coldness of the water because the
Right.
water is so cold. And before you even attempt the channel, you have to do a 5-hour test swim just to see if you are mentally ready and if your body's in the proper condition. And the test is being able to hold a teacup. And if you can't hold the teacup, you can't cross the channel. And that particular time, the boat cost $5,000, the guide boat. And after you take 10 strokes in the water, the money is theirs whether you make it or not.
Yeah. Holding the teacup. What you're actually like holding a teacup when you're
Absolutely, because
wow.
if you can't hold the teacup, that means that you are suffering from hypothermia. So you actually have the shakes and the tremors.
Okay.
Okay, so that means that you can't handle it because the channel swim, in my case, you go over there thinking it's 20 miles, right?
Right.
But that's as the crow flies. But when you're crossing the channel, you can't go in a straight line. You go in a S pattern. So that 20 miles turned into 37 and a half miles. And what was so significant about this English Channel swim on my particular day that I swam it, I swam it 102 years to the day that Captain Matthew Webb swam the channel, and he was the first man to swim the English Channel. And he didn't get it on his first attempt. He got it on his second attempt, and it took him 21 and a half hours. And he was a millionaire in 24 hours when he came out of the water. And unfortunately, he lost his life at the rapids of Niagara Falls when the Daredevils was out there. He attempted to cross the falls and they didn't find his body for 3 days, and he's buried in Oakwood Cemetery.
Wow. Wow.
I'm holding the teacup after I come out of the water.
Okay. I got you now. I got you.
Okay, so they're judging you to see, if you can actually hold the teacup without just shaking or going into a
Gotcha.
And at that particular time, there was a brother named Michael Johnson from Texas. He showed up. He wanted to be the first black man to swim the English Channel, but he couldn't hold his teacup.
Wow.
So what he ended up doing, he went in a relay, and he was the first brother to cross the English Channel in a relay with 6 other swimmers. But in the relay, they get in and out of the water into the boat.
The one thing that struck me as I was watching the piece, we said while you were swimming, you wound up getting cramps as while you were swimming.
About 6 hours out,
Yeah.
I got cramps in my left leg, right? And I was swimming, and the coach, I turned on my back and I was swimming backstroke for a while, right? And the coach told me, you're not going to make it swimming backstroke because you'll never hit the tides in that. So I had to suck it up and swim
Just
arms
keep straight.
only,
Wow.
arms only for the rest of the swim. But that was fine because I trained with a tire tractor tube in my regular swimming training, pulling a tractor tube tire. So that was very helpful for me to be able to swim the channel because I had the strength in my upper chest to pull myself along.
Some of the I'm just imagining some of just the intestinal fortitude and just what had to been going through your mind, the things that you had to been saying to yourself as you were going across that channel, and all of that time, man. I
Yes.
can't imagine that.
Well, when you're in the open water, you have no concept of what time it is. You have no concept of what time it is. And the coldness of the water attacks whatever the weakest in your body. And that's why I got the cramps, because evidently my hip was weak. And I think I had some bursitis in it. So it attacked that. But more than that was swimming at nighttime when the sun set. The thing about the channel that's so challenging is you can swim 32 miles, and if you do not catch the tide will wash you back out into the ocean. So on that particular day, I was swimming with 5 other swimmers, right?
Okay.
And they did not make the tide 2 miles out from France. So it took them 17 hours to come in, and it took me 12 and a half hours. But the night swim, you really have to have nerves of steel because you see different fluorescent things come up out of the water. And you know you're getting close because you have a guide boat, and then they have a smaller boat that's called a dinghy boat.
Right.
And when they cut on the lights on the dinghy boat, you know you're getting close.
Okay.
And the way that you know that you made it is that you literally swim up on the beach.
And as soon as you got in, and what had to go through your mind as soon as you after all that you finally completed, you make the beach. What was going through your mind, man?
Oh man, my dad was there, the crew was there, and we were just elated. We were just elated, because I knew I was not going to get a second chance. I had to make it, and I'd rather die than not complete the swim. And there was
Absolutely.
just so many people not believing that I was capable to make the swim.
Wow. Wow. So after you make the swim across and coming back home, we have footage of you coming back home and to the community, and the community welcoming you back. Talk to us about the outpouring of support that came from the Buffalo community.
It was wonderful. My dad established a Charlie the Tuna committee to get me to the English Channel. There was people like Cliff Bell on the committee, Minnie Gillette,
Yes.
Dr. Leon Henderson, Mr. Messiah. I can't. Leo Richardson, that was a coach out at Buff State. I mean, oh wow, it was fantastic. Rick James supported me in going across the channel. Uh, wow. And you know something, like my friend says, you know, it takes teamwork to make the dream work.
Yes.
You know, you can't do any of these things, you know, by yourself. By yourself.
So when we first talked on the phone, you were saying that, you know, for your accomplishments that you to this day you have not been fully recognized like I think you should be. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yes, well, you know, it's unfortunate, you know, like I set the world record around Manhattan Island. I have the two fastest times in history, and on one of the swims, they stopped me uh 10 minutes and didn't give me the clock time. And I paid $1,000 to swim in that event, and I was really pissed. And then before ESPN got big, there was a gentleman named Marty LaCory on running and racing on ESPN, and he equated my swim to anybody can swim the butterfly. And also I'm the only person alive to ever butterfly Alcatraz Island.
Yes.
I've done a single. I've done a double around Alcatraz from San Francisco around the island twice and back in. And there's not another human being on this planet. And I have been denied by the United States Olympic Committee to swim to set the world standard for the marathon in the butterfly. They're only swimming 10 miles freestyle, and everybody that knows anything about swimming knows that the butterfly stroke is the superior stroke in swimming, and it's technically the most difficult stroke in swimming. Now, we know they make Wheaties in Buffalo, right? But
Oh
I've
yeah.
yet I've yet to be in the box, on the box.
Mm.
Um,
Got General Mills all up in Buffalo too.
all up in Buffalo. I am in the International Hall of Fame in Florida, but not in the Buffalo Hall of Fame.
Wow.
You know, it's deep. It's deep. But you know something? I'm not discouraged, and I want to just encourage other people to know when you're looking to do something great, spectacular that somebody else hasn't done, and you're looking to make history, you're going to go through these things. You can expect them. There's a line of people doubting you, and there's a line believing that you can, but most of all, you got to have God and believe in
Absolutely.
yourself.
Absolutely. I do want to backtrack just a little bit. You mentioned Alcatraz,
Yes.
because that's something that I was also familiar with for a very long time. What was it like to swim those waters around Alcatraz Island? And how would it compare to the English Channel? I'm sure there's
Dangerous.
no comparison, but
Oh no, Alcatraz is in a class of his own. And then the racism that I suffered from the Dolphin Club that had been there for over 100 years.
mhm.
Even after I swam the English Channel, I came in there one day and they wanted to charge me. And I told them, you people been here 100 years and ain't never one of you swam the channel and you want to charge me to come in to use the facility?
Yeah,
you know, but you know, and like I said, they wouldn't give me a boat one day, and I was there with my friend Henry Winston and Henry Clark, and we commandeered. He had a friend that had a sailboat,
yeah.
and we were determined to do the swim that day around Alcatraz Island, and I swam around Alcatraz Island using a sailboat, and I could not get out of the water, and they could not stop the rescue me butterfly. And I started from San Francisco around the island and back in.
And how are those waters? What are those waters like?
And those waters are cold.
Cold.
Cold and dangerous. And they got a shark out there called the gray shallow that can swallow you whole. It's interesting.
I think I've heard about that around Alcatraz. That there's a shark out there.
Very dangerous. And those gentlemen that tried to escape, they never found them because more than likely they drowned because the water is so cold. It's like swimming in a glass of water with some ice cubes. Take a couple of ice cubes and put your finger in there and spin it around, and that's what you're swimming in. And the hypothermia will literally put you to sleep in the water. But the thing that's so amazing about the human body, for the first 10 minutes, you're swimming for your life, and then your body turns into a hot ember in the cold water. Man. Which is amazing.
Wow.
Which is amazing. But you definitely have to have the mental mindset. And when I did a double from San Francisco around Alcatraz twice, I circled it twice and came back in during the El Nino season. I swam through 10,000 jellyfish in the water. And I never knew that jellyfish had a hard head because I bumped into one and we kissed each other and he went his way and I went mine.
Wow.
Okay.
I don't think I'd want to run into no jellyfish. I wouldn't want to run into no jellyfish.
But I didn't get
any more than a shark.
I didn't get stung. And the thing that was so amazing, the first trip around the island was relatively easy. But the second time around, when I got halfway around the island, I ran into an eddy. And the eddy kept me in the same position for over 45 minutes.
What's an eddy?
An eddy is a tide that locks you in.
Okay.
So one of the boat guys was ready to go into town, and I said no. So what I did is I reversed my course from where I started and went the opposite way around to complete the swim around the island and then back in. And going back in was harder than swimming around the island twice because I came through this place in San Francisco called the Potato Patch. And there's a lot of rough currents there near the ferry building on Market Street. And that's where I got out of the water.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So
but the adventures and the challenges have been, it's very exciting. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Absolutely.
And some things, when you make an accomplishment, it's more than silver and gold. It really is, just to be able to have your name written in the history books forever,
Absolutely.
It's an honor. It's truly an honor.
So what are you doing today?
What I am doing today, I'm working with my friend Terrence Stevens, and we are promoting a marijuana chewy product that supports injustice. He's virtually paralyzed from the neck down, and he uses his hands and his mind, and he's a wonderful, brilliant individual. Okay. And he has a fantastic story of overcoming, and he helps all kinds of people. This brother's beautiful, and he's been featured on Skip Gates.
Yes.
On what's that? African American Rivers and Crossing.
Many rivers to cross. Yes, I've seen that.
Yes. And what's your website, Terrence?
Ironside.com.
His website is ironside.com.
Ironside.com. Okay.
And if you look him up, you can get a glimpse of what he's about and his information. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. So is there anything else you'd like to share with us about your story, Charlie?
You know something? I'm just very happy for the opportunity to
Yes,
express myself. And maybe a Stephen A. Smith will give me some justice on ESPN,
absolutely,
you
absolutely.
know, because at the time there was only two brothers flying on the channel on the planet, and that was me and Michael Jordan. Jordan by land, Tuna by sea. They
There
just
you
don't
go.
know about me.
There you go.
Yes,
Well, Charlie,
indeed.
Charlie, Charlie, the Tuna Chapman, it was, I can't tell you how much of an honor it is to have you on the Buffalo History Channel. When I got that call earlier today, I said, you know what, we definitely got to get you on the channel. Definitely got to get you on. And I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to talk with you and have you expand on your story.
And you know something, the feeling was mutual, brother. It's an honor and a pleasure. And I'm glad that you did your study of the history books to know the fine facts.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, and putting the facts out there. And I don't just want to let young people know that
Yes,
they can be anything they want to be. Go after your dream. You only live one time. Go for it. Go for
absolutely.
your dreams.
Absolutely. All
Yes,
right, man. It's a
indeed.
pleasure to have you on, brother.
Peace and love, brother.
Peace and love.